In 1946, a group of WW veterans formed a cargo airline in California. They called it California Eastern Aviation. Over the next 4 decades, it changed its name, absorbed dozens of companies, and quietly became one of the largest contractors in U.S. government history. By 1987, it was called DynCorp. By 2003, it had annual revenues of $2.3 billion and contracts with the State Department, the Department of Defense, and the Drug Enforcement Administration. It trained police forces in Bosnia, Kosovo, Afghanistan, and Iraq. It fumigated coca fields across Colombia. It maintained military aircraft for the U.S. Army. It operated in over 50 countries, and in 1999, a whistleblower arrived in Bosnia. What she found would eventually reach the floor of the United States Congress. Nobody was prosecuted. The contracts were renewed. Following the end of the Balkan Wars, the U.S. State Department contracted DynCorp to provide civilian police officers to the UN International Police Task Force in Bosnia. Their purpose? Help rebuild post-war justice institutions. One of those monitors was Kathryn Bolkovac. A former police investigator from Nebraska, Bolkovac arrived in Bosnia in 1999 and was stationed in Zenica. Within months, she began receiving reports from women. Women who had been trafficked from Moldova, Romania, and Ukraine, sold to nightclubs and brothels operating openly in the US-controlled sector. Women whose passports had been confiscated. Women who had attempted to escape and were returned to their traffickers. Bolkovac investigated. What she found went beyond the brothels. DynCorp employees, contracted by the U.S. State Department to uphold the rule of law, were among the buyers. Some had purchased women outright. Some had purchased girls as young as 15. Some were transporting trafficking victims across borders. Some were forging documents for traffickers. And some were tipping off brothel operators about upcoming UN raids so that women could be moved before inspectors arrived. Bolkovac sent detailed reports to over 50 high-ranking UN officials. In April 2001, she was demoted. In October 2001, she was fired. DynCorp's stated reason: falsifying her timesheet. Bolkovac was not the only witness. Ben Johnston was a DynCorp aircraft mechanic in Bosnia. Johnston later testified that he had personally witnessed DynCorp employees purchase women and underage girls, and that supervisors were aware of what was occurring. He reported it. He was fired. Johnston filed a wrongful dismissal lawsuit in Fort Worth, Texas. In August 2002, 2 days before the case was scheduled to go to trial, DynCorp settled out of court. The financial terms were never disclosed. Bolkovac took her case to an employment tribunal in the United Kingdom, where she had been hired under English contract law. In August 2002, the tribunal ruled unanimously in her favor. The panel found she had been unfairly dismissed for whistleblowing. It described DynCorp's conduct as, and these are the tribunal's exact words, callous, spiteful, and vindictive. Bolkovac was awarded compensation of £110,000. DynCorp appealed. In May 2003, they dropped the appeal and paid in full. At least 13 DynCorp employees were sent home from Bosnia. At least 7 were fired. Not one faced criminal prosecution. Not in the United States. Not in Bosnia. The reason was a legal gap. U.S. criminal law at the time did not clearly extend to State Department contractors operating overseas. The Military Extraterritorial Jurisdiction Act of 2000 applied only to Defense Department contractors. DynCorp was a State Department contractor. They existed in precisely the right gap for the purpose. In 2010, Rachel Weisz portrayed Kathryn Bolkovac in the film The Whistleblower. To avoid legal liability, The film referred to DynCorp as DemocraCorp. On March 11, 2005, Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney of Georgia stood before the House Armed Services Committee and addressed Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld. She asked him directly, "Is it the policy of the United States government to reward companies that traffic in women and little girls?" Rumsfeld said the policy of the United States was clear, unambiguous, and opposed to such activities. He noted it was specific employees, not the corporation itself. He noted the events had taken place some years prior. McKinney asked whether DynCorp still held U.S. government contracts. The answer was yes. The exchange is on the public record. It changed nothing. Bosnia was not the only theater. In Colombia, DynCorp held contracts worth approximately $174 million per year under Plan Colombia, the U.S.-backed counter-narcotics program. DynCorp pilots flew aircraft that sprayed glyphosate herbicide across coca-growing regions. The stated target was drug crops. Thousands of Ecuadorian farming families filed class-action lawsuits alleging the spray drifted across the border, destroying food crops and causing illness in children and pregnant women. DynCorp settled the case confidentially. The terms were not disclosed. In Afghanistan, DynCorp was awarded a $1.7 billion contract to train the Afghan National Police. By 2009, U.S. military commanders were describing the force as one of the most corrupt institutions in the country. Then in April 2009, a separate incident emerged. At a regional training center in Kunduz, DynCorp contractors reportedly attended a party involving young Afghan dancing boys, children between the ages of 8 and 15, hired as entertainment. The practice is known as bachabazi. It is widespread among Afghan warlords and involves boys subjected to sexual exploitation. The Afghan Interior Minister personally contacted U.S. embassy officials and asked them to suppress the story. The incident was exposed in December 2010 through U.S. diplomatic cables released by WikiLeaks. No DynCorp employee was criminally charged. In Iraq, DynCorp held contracts for police training worth over $2.5 billion. A U.S. government audit found that a single contracting officer had been assigned to oversee the entire program. That officer was approving invoices without verification. Auditors could not confirm the accuracy of over $1 billion in payments. In April 2025, 3 months ago, the company that now holds DynCorp's legacy agreed to pay $21 million to settle False Claims Act allegations of knowingly submitting inflated charges on that Iraq contract. In 2003, Computer Sciences Corporation purchased DynCorp for approximately $950 million. In 2005, they sold the operational divisions to Veritas Capital for $850 million. In 2010, Cerberus Capital Management acquired DynCorp International for $1.5 billion. Annual revenue at that point, $3.7 billion. In 2020, DynCorp was acquired again, folded into a new entity called Amentum. In April 2021, the DynCorp name was officially discontinued. Amentum today trades publicly on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker AMTM. It employs 53,000 people in approximately 80 countries. Its total contracted backlog, future revenues from already awarded government contracts, stands at $45 billion. 90% of its revenue comes from the U.S. government. When you hear Amentum, you are hearing DynCorp. The Bosnia whistleblowers received their settlements. The Afghanistan investigation produced no charges. The Colombia class action was settled privately. The Iraq overbilling cost $21 million, and the backlog is $45 billion. Every episode of this series follows the same structure, not because we chose it, because the events chose it. A private company performs operations that governments require but cannot officially conduct. Something goes wrong. A whistleblower comes forward. The whistleblower is fired. The company settles out of court. No criminal charges are filed. The contracts are renewed. The company changes its name. In Bosnia, the legal gap was the Military Extraterritorial Jurisdiction Act. In Afghanistan, the legal gap was the absence of specific reporting guidance until 2011. In Iraq, the legal gap was a single contracting officer with no capacity to verify a $2.5 billion program. These are not oversights. An oversight happens once. A pattern is a policy. DynCorp operated inside the space between what governments authorize and what governments acknowledge. It is now Amentum. The space is still open, and there are 53,000 people working inside it.